Hey Marvel fans, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host Naaman. This is House of Nerdy, and we gotta talk about Morbius and why I think this movie takes place in both the Venom universe and the TASM universe.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Okay, let me explain. All right, because I know you're probably thinking like this. How is this possible? Right? Let me give you my theory. I think the safest bet is that it takes place in the Venom verse, but I also think that the Venom verse and the TASM verse are one and the same. And I'm going to show you the evidence that supports that, so you can draw your own conclusions at the end of this video. Now, starting off with our first piece of evidence, we heard in the Morbius trailer Morbius say he is Venom, and we also heard Tyrese in the same trailer reference the San Francisco incident, right, with Venom. By all accounts, it makes sense that this would be in the Venomverse, right? We have Sony who's making the movie. We all know that they're trying to make the Sony Spider-Man villain verse, right? So it all points to this is in the Venomverse. But also in one of the Morbius trailers, we saw a newspaper that referenced Rhino and Black Cat. And the only ever Rhino we've had was in the TASM universe. Now, Sony could be doing their own Rhino, which would point it to the Venomverse, and this would be a just new interpretation. And Black Cat, which we've only heard rumors about them making a movie, the Black and Silver movie. So that would point to the Venomverse and them starting to really flesh out their universe. But one of the most fascinating things that came out one of the Morbius trailers was the Oscorp Tower, right? And this Oscorp Tower looks a lot like the one from the TASM universe, which leads me to believe either the creators at Sony are having fun and this is like a coincidence, or these universes could possibly be connected and we could possibly be getting some Andrew Garfield in the future. But the most confusing part and like the biggest wrench in all this is Michael Keaton, right? He's coming back, he's playing the Vulture. All reports indicate that they're adding more of him into the movie. He's a big part of the film. So that would lead you to believe it's in the MCU, correct? Wrong. I believe he's a variant, right? Like in Loki, we saw that there are variants that look exactly like each other, but there are also variants that look completely different. That's why we got Alligator Loki, Old Man Loki, but even him, when he was younger, he probably looked like Tom Hiddleston. That's how they would probably play it. So that's how I see it. I don't think this is in the MCU. I don't think it takes place. I think that at one point, like when they first put him in the movie and this was first a thing, I think they were thinking about taking him away, right? Because like, remember a couple years ago, Sony and MCU had the falling out. They had a real bad almost breakup, but eventually they came back, they amended, and they created a monster movie in No Way Home. So I think right now they're more inclined to make that a variant because they're probably not taking Tom Holland out of the MCU just yet. And that kind of ties into another piece of evidence I want to talk about, and that's the Spider murder poster. And a lot of people, when we first saw it, thought it was a reference to Tom Holland in the events of Far From Home. And I think originally that's what Sony's plan was. I think they wanted to let people believe it was in the MCU without actually them confirming it or Marvel approving it, right? I think they wanted to be in the MCU without actually being in the MCU. But now, since like No Way Home did amazing and like them and Marvel on back to good terms, I don't think they'll be taking Tom Holland out. So I think that that was a reference to Andrew Garfield, right? Because when you rewatch No Way Home and you see that scene, he gets very emotional, right? And he talks about like he stopped pulling his punches after Gwen died, and like you could see him killing somebody, killing a villain, and like just going like bare knuckle, like Batman v Superman, like Batfleck, like just crazy stuff. Why did you say that name? So for the final piece of this puzzle, I want to talk about the Spider-Man bust poster that leaked. And it said, "Where is Spider-Man?" And to me, when you think about it, it only makes sense if it was Toby or Andrew, right? Because they got taken from their universes and were gone. Like, we saw them in No Way Home, but they were gone before that. They had gotten taken out before, like when Doctor Strange did the spell. So it would really only make sense to be Andrew because like no evidence points to this is Tobey Maguire's universe. It makes no sense. But evidence does point to it being Andrew Garfield's universe. So if there's a poster that says "Where is Spider-Man?" and Spider-Man was gone, Andrew Garfield was gone in No Way Home, I think it only makes sense that it's him. And I think that there's either a tease to him or there's a tease to some Spider-Verse stuff in this movie, right? Because honestly, it's an origin movie. It's a not highly known character. Like some people know it because he was in the Spider-Man cartoons in the 90s, but he's not a widely known character. So there are things fighting against it. I think Sony's smart enough that they would put something in it to get people going. Like it's similar to Venom 2. Like, Venom 2 wasn't the greatest movie, changed stuff around. They added the element of him going into the MCU, got everybody to come see it. Like it was amazing. I think Morbius is gonna have to do something like that for it to compete with anything else. Like think about what's happening. Like Batman came out this week, but in 2 months Doctor Strange comes out, and there's gonna be a lot more things coming out for Doctor Strange, a lot more people talking about it. If you want to compete with that, you're going to have to, guess what, some Spider-Man stuff. Like that's what people want, preferably Andrew Garfield. Like people want to see more of him, and they did delay the movie from January, and there's really no excuse other than if you want to like some reshoots, and in those reshoots you could do Andrew Garfield, right? We saw No Way Home did crazy in the pandemic, right? So if you have a good movie that has some hypeness in it, we'll come see it. So the only excuse for you to really delay your film this stage is if you want to add some more stuff to it, like Marvel is doing with Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. In my opinion, I think it's very likely. I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but I think it's very likely, and it's the right thing to do, is for Sony to add some more Spider-Man or Spider-Verse stuff in this movie. And I think they have a really easy way to connect the MCU and Sony and to figure all this like Spider-Verse stuff out is into the Spider-Verse, right? They have these devices you can see in the second trailer that let them transport between universes, right? So you could see in live action, you give one to Tom Hardy Venom and they go grab Peter Parker from the MCU, like Tom Holland, because he saw him on the TV and he wants to meet him, like stuff like that. You can connect these universes if Marvel and Sony work together and they're on the same page, which it seems like they are, and Sony is smart enough, right, that they do this stuff and they actually try to connect and build out their universe and don't just throw things at the wall, right? That's what my hope is. I don't know. You can't always trust Sony. They might just be doing anything. They're probably playing it a bit loose. They don't really know exactly themselves. They don't have a full concrete plan. They just know kind of what they want to do. But I think with the help of Kevin Feige, and there is reports that he's going to be producing 2 more movies, and just really the help of Marvel in general, that brand, you can see Sony building a really good connected universe that can play with the MCU and like them feed off of each other. More so Sony feeding off the MCU because the MCU is just amazing and so big. But that's my thoughts and opinions. Leave your thoughts and opinions down below. Peace out.